All right, let's dive in. We're heading over to Oxford University today.
Oxford. Wow. So the one that's always at the top of those.
Yeah, exactly. Those global rankings, like the
Mhm.
Times Higher Ed.
Mm,
But we're not here for a history lesson, not today.
right.
We're looking at how they're using tech to make their classes
Yeah.
more engaging.
Ah, okay. Makes sense. I mean, they have a reputation to uphold, right? So,
Exactly. So they've adopted this platform called Vevox. And
Viva.
yeah, it's university-wide, so pretty much every
Uh,
professor and student has access to it.
that's a pretty big deal. I mean, I've heard of Vivox, but I've never seen it at that kind of scale.
Exactly. Well, and think about a lecture hall with like thousands of
Oh,
students.
yeah.
It's easy for some voices to get lost, right?
Totally.
But Vevox, it gives every student a platform to speak up, share their thoughts, even ask questions.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a way to level the playing field a bit.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Especially for students from different backgrounds or who might not be comfortable.
Right, right. Because not everyone's going to feel comfortable raising their hand in a giant lecture hall.
Exactly. And here's the best part.
Okay.
It's anonymous.
Oh, wow. That's really smart.
So students can answer polls, ask questions, give feedback.
So no fear of judgment, basically.
Exactly.
I like it.
So how is this actually playing out in classes, right?
Yeah.
Well, we got to chat with Catherine Hamilton.
Okay.
She's a doctoral teaching fellow at Oxford, and she's been using Vevox, like, a lot.
Okay, so a real power user.
Yeah, totally. And get this, she teaches statistics to postgrad students.
Statistics. Okay, so not exactly the most,
But the most exciting?
no, not the most exciting subject, but hey, maybe Vivox is the secret ingredient.
Well, that's what we're here to find out.
Right. So what's her background? Like, how does she even get into this?
So she actually has a PhD in education.
Oh, wow. So she knows her stuff.
Yeah. And she first came across Vevox during, get this, Oxford's own teaching course.
Interesting. So they're practicing what they preach, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So she's really put a lot of thought into using technology to, enhance her teaching.
So it's not just about, like, throwing tech at a problem and hoping it sticks.
No, not at all.
She's actually being intentional about it.
Totally. And she's using it to tackle some pretty big challenges like student participation.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, how do you get everyone involved, especially at a place like Oxford?
Right. Like they have such a diverse student body, right?
Yeah,
From all over the world.
yeah, it's true.
Different cultures, different learning styles.
So how does Vivox help with that?
Well, it lets students participate on their own terms.
I see. So whether they're eager to jump in or prefer to kind of observe first.
Exactly. And then another challenge she brought up was engagement.
Engagement. Okay, yeah. I mean, keeping students focused, that's like the eternal struggle.
Especially in those early morning classes, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
But Catherine uses Vevox to kind of jumpstart those sessions. She'll start with a quick poll or quiz, get those brains working.
Oh, that's a good idea. Kind of like a warm-up.
Exactly. So instead of passively listening, they're actively involved right from the start.
So it's not just about keeping them awake, but also getting them, like, mentally prepared for the class.
Yeah, exactly.
Clever.
And it's not just about keeping them awake.
Okay.
She also uses Vevox to kind of check their understanding.
So, like, making sure they're actually grasping the material.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
imagine being able to see in real time if everyone's getting it.
That's pretty amazing. So she can adjust her teaching based on that feedback.
Yeah, exactly. So there's this constant feedback loop, making sure no one's left behind.
A personalized learning experience in a
Right,
way.
totally. So we've talked about the why.
Yeah.
But now, how about the how? Like, what's she actually doing with Vevox in her classes?
Right, because it's one thing to say it's useful, but how is she actually using it?
Exactly. So she uses pretty much every feature Vevox offers, from multiple choice polls to, like, word clouds.
Word clouds. Okay, so she's getting creative with it.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So how about we break it down a bit? Like, how's she using those multiple choice polls?
Okay, so often she'll start by, presenting a key concept or definition,
Mm-hmm.
and then she'll use a poll to, like, test their understanding.
Gotcha. So it's a quick way to see if everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. And then, address any misunderstandings before moving on.
It's like a built-in check-in.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then the word clouds, those are where things get visually interesting.
Okay, word clouds, always fun. So how did those fit in?
So she'll use them to gather, like, a whole range of student responses.
Hmm.
And then it's all displayed visually, so it really sparks discussion.
So instead of just a list of right or wrong answers, it's more about exploring different perspectives.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like that.
And it ties back to that anonymity, right?
Right, right.
Because students are more likely to share their true thoughts if they know they're not being judged.
It creates a safe space for, intellectual exploration.
Totally.
This is really fascinating stuff. So, Vevox is clearly a big part of Catherine's approach at Oxford. But how does this apply to other learning environments? I mean, can we take these ideas outside the university?
That's a great question, and one we'll definitely explore as we dive deeper into Vevox and its potential.
Sounds good. Let's take a quick pause and come back to uncover more about how Vevox is transforming learning at Oxford and beyond. So, we were just talking about Catherine and how she's using Vevox to, make her statistics classes more engaging.
Yeah, and inclusive, too.
Right, exactly. And it's not just in her in-person classes, right?
Nope, not at all.
Because Oxford, like a lot of universities these days, has gone hybrid,
Hybrid learning.
which, it has its advantages, but it can be tricky to keep everyone engaged, Like, how do you make sure those online students feel just as connected?
Yeah, it's like you're trying to run two different classes at the same time, almost.
Right. So how does Catherine handle that?
Well, she uses Vevox to kind of bridge that gap.
Okay, interesting.
So it doesn't matter if you're physically in the classroom or joining remotely. Everyone has that same opportunity to participate.
I see. So it kind of levels the playing field for the hybrid experience.
Exactly. And one thing she highlighted was anonymous Q&A sessions.
Oh, that's a good idea, especially for online students.
Yeah. Because, imagine you have a question, but you don't want to interrupt.
Or maybe you just don't feel comfortable, unmuting yourself and speaking up on camera.
Totally. Like, I've been there in online meetings, that feeling of, like, do I really want to be the one to break the silence?
Oh, yeah, it can be awkward.
It can be, but with Vevox, you can just submit your question anonymously.
So it takes away that hesitation.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're in the room or at home in your pajamas.
It's like everyone has that little safety net.
Yeah, totally. And Catherine was saying how it gives her really valuable feedback, too.
Oh, right, because she can see what students are actually struggling with.
Exactly. So it helps her adjust her teaching in real time, make sure everyone's following along.
It's like a win-win for both the students and the teacher.
Exactly. So we've seen how Catherine's using Vevox to tackle participation, engagement, and even this whole hybrid learning thing.
Yeah, some pretty impressive stuff.
It is. But what really stood out to me is that it's not just about the tech itself,
Okay, I see what you mean. Like, it's more about the approach to teaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's a real philosophy behind it.
So what would you say that philosophy is?
Well, I think it's all about active learning,
Active learning, so not just passively absorbing information.
No, it's about getting students to really participate, ask questions, wrestle with the material.
And Vevox is kind of the tool that enables that, right?
Yeah, exactly. It gives them a platform to, engage with the content and with each other.
And to do it in a way that feels safe and inclusive.
Totally. It's like turning the classroom into this collaborative learning lab,
I like that analogy. And when students feel like they're active participants in their own learning, they're more likely to be engaged, motivated, and ultimately they retain the information better.
It's not just about memorizing facts and figures. It's about actually understanding the concepts.
And developing those critical thinking skills.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that can benefit anyone, right? Not just students at Oxford.
True, true. So for our listeners who might be thinking, okay, this Vevox thing sounds cool, but how can I apply this in my own life?
That's a great question. So let's take a quick pause and then come back to explore how the lessons we're learning from Oxford and Catherine's approach can be applied to any learning context. All right, we're back and ready to wrap up our look at how Oxford is using Vevox to, really shake up the learning experience.
Yeah, it's been pretty eye-opening to see how Catherine is using it, especially in her statistics classes.
Yeah, for sure. But what's really cool is that these principles, they can apply to any learning environment, right?
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be Oxford. It doesn't have to be university at all.
Exactly. Think about it. A training session at work, an online course, even just learning a new skill on your own. These ideas can make a real difference.
So let's start with that active participation piece, right? We saw how Vevox lets students, ask questions, share their thoughts.
Yeah, really engage with the material.
And that's key, even if you don't have a fancy platform like Vevox.
Right. It's about finding ways to, make learning a two-way street.
Exactly. So how can you do that? Well, it could be as simple as, writing down questions as you read.
Oh, yeah, like taking notes.
Exactly. Or maybe reaching out to the instructor or, the author of a book if you need clarification.
Or finding a community, like a study group or online forum, to discuss the material.
Yeah, all great ways to be more active in your learning.
And it's about not being afraid to ask questions, even if they seem, basic.
Oh, for sure. There are no stupid questions, especially when you're trying to learn something new.
Totally. And another big takeaway from Catherine's approach was that sense of safety and inclusivity in the classroom.
Right, and Vevox helps with that, with the anonymity feature.
Yeah, but you can foster that same feeling in other settings too, even without the tech.
Absolutely. It's about being respectful of different viewpoints, listening to others.
Yeah, creating a space where everyone feels comfortable sharing, even if their opinion is different.
And remembering that learning is a journey, not a competition.
Exactly. We're all at different stages.
And we all have something to contribute.
So if you're, leading a training or a discussion, think about how you can create that welcoming environment.
Maybe start with an icebreaker or set some ground rules for communication.
Yeah, good ideas. And if you're the learner, don't be afraid to speak up. Share your perspective.
Your voice matters. You might be surprised how much you have to offer.
And then the last piece, feedback, right?
Yeah.
Catherine uses Vevox to get that instant feedback from students.
So she can adjust her teaching, make sure everyone's on track.
But feedback is important in any learning situation, right?
Absolutely. If you're teaching or mentoring someone, ask for their input, see if they're understanding.
And if you're the learner, don't be shy about giving feedback too.
Exactly. Let the instructor know what's working, what could be improved.
It's all about that open communication, everyone learning and growing together.
Well said.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's not about the specific tool.
Yeah.
It's about those core principles.
Active participation, inclusivity, feedback.
Those are the things that make learning engaging and, really effective.
And those principles can work for anyone, whether you're at Oxford or just someone who loves to learn new things.
That's the great thing about learning. It's a lifelong journey.
Absolutely. So go out there, ask questions, be curious, never stop exploring.
Who knows what you might discover?
And until next time, keep those brains
See
buzzing.
you later.